Well, out there in the gaming world, I'm Commander McNeil, your host. Welcome to a new edition of East Meets West Gaming, and today we're looking at Gundam Diorama Front, the latest edition from Bandai Namco Online. Bit of a boilerplate for you. In order to play this game, you will need to be in Japan, or at least make it look like your computer is in Japan. So, a VPN is a must in order to play this game, very similar to Gundam Online. However, you can install it without a VPN as long as you have the Bandai Namco Online installer already set up. That's how you'll actually download the game through that front interface. So you can type in Gundam Diorama Front, and on Google you'll probably come to the website through Bandai, and you'll be able to at least download the installer. But once again, in order to actually play the game, you will need to have a VPN, make it look like you're in Japan. It does do IP screening, so even though the game will launch, once you get to the login screen, once you've typed in your password, it'll simply say either connection timed out or your login is not valid. Running it through a VPN, no such problems. So, that out of the way, what is Gundam Diorama Front? Well, Gundam Diorama Front is essentially a copy of Clash of Clans, Star Wars Force Commander, all of those mobile games that you see out there, except in this case it's on PC. And it pretty much the same exact rules apply as with Clash of Clans and all those other style games. You've got essentially a metal resource, a monetary resource, and you use both to build your base, expand your army, attack other players, and try to rise up through the ranks. Not much different from those games. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. But it's Gundam, so if you're a Gundam fan, this is probably a pretty cool thing for you. There are a few differences, but they're almost, if you will, cursory differences, because all of these games have some sort of similarity to each other. The only difference being kind of just the setting and the characters. But once again, this is Gundam. So each base has a core, which is this item right here. So they call it frontal core, right, or front core. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. It's just the core of your base, your main headquarters, if you will. And in order to claim victory, it needs to be destroyed. Actually, you can run out of time in certain cases, and if the core is still alive, you've lost. But if the core is destroyed, you've won. So it's funny because you may not do 100% clear of all the buildings, but if you get the core, it's considered a victory. Interestingly enough, even if you don't win, just like with Clash of Clans or with Star Wars Commander, any resources you manage to claim while fighting, you get to keep regardless of a win or a loss, which is kind of nice. So there are three different types of defense systems that you can put in your base. First, and actually only achieved at a later level, around level 2, is the mortar. The mortar is just as it sounds. It's a long-range weapon, covers the entire sphere as you can see, and essentially lobs explosive shells onto units, and it's very effective when it's going after clustered units. So if you're attacking a base that has mortars, you want to kind of spread your units out so that only one comes under fire at any one time, and you don't end up watching all of your units die at the same time due to one mortar. The second weapon system, also acquired at a higher level, is essentially laser defense systems. Now, the laser defense systems are mounted on high towers and can engage both ground and air targets. You can only build a very limited number of them depending on the level of your core. Right now at level 4, I can only build 2 of these towers. At level 5, you can add more. Final defense, and the first one that you'll pick up, are machine gun or autocannon turrets, as they later are upgraded to. These are rapid fire guns and will essentially serve as the primary line of defense. Now, backing up your gun turret defenses are aces, or ace pilots. These are main characters from throughout the entire Gundam universe, whether it be Char Aznable, Amuro Ray, essentially the main characters and their mobile suits, and the different versions of them. Now, these guys will essentially patrol an area within the designated circle and attack any enemies that approach. Now, they're fairly powerful. They're able to kill, 1 or 2 but to be honest, unless they're at say level, I'd say 4 and above, they can get swarmed fairly easily and taken out pretty quickly. But that said, they still offer one final line of defense, and they're pretty effective. In some cases, your attacking enemy's AI will actually go after a building, totally ignoring the ace pilot, and essentially get their entire attack wave wiped out by the ace pilot. So pretty cool there. Now, resources. You've got two types of resources. I have no idea exactly what it's supposed to be, but I'm just going to call it metal. It's something pronto. I cannot actually read kanji, unfortunately. But essentially it's metal, composite material that's to be used for base construction, upgrading walls, upgrading buildings. Everything and anything requires this resource. And it automatically replenishes over time. And what's actually kind of nice about this, the way they've got this game sorted out, is that your resources actually replenish pretty quickly. Unlike some of the other games like Clash of Clans, where they seem to replenish at a glacially slow pace and try to force you to purchase things like gems and things of that nature in order to make money, which I'm not going to do, you can actually get your resources back. And actually, to give you an idea, overnight I was actually attacked twice. Base got knocked over, and I lost quite a bit of resources. But I logged back in this morning, and I'm almost full resources. So it's not debilitating if you lose. I've lost 3 times in a row, and had all of my resources wiped out each time. And by the time I logged back in, it was pretty much fully replenished, and I could go about my game. So it's not as debilitating and doesn't try to force the pay-to-win mentality. What's also nice is the game, just like Gundam Online, is free to play. So you don't have to put any money down at all if you don't want to. You can if you want to get some like bonus charges, speed up construction, things of that nature. Because just like Clash of Clans, whenever you use the metal or the money, you will have to wait a certain amount of real-world time for production. So metal is used for upgrading all the buildings, walls, structures. As a matter of fact, I've got one structure upgrading right now. This is the real-world time it's going to take for this building to be completed. So, of course, at higher levels, it's going to take longer and longer for you to reach that higher-level building. Now, money, or gold, in this case, you know, when you select it, it'll say Gordo Pronto. So, gold plant. And notice I'm full. It is a little punching out gold. Stamp. Stamp. Where can I get a factory that punches out gold like that for me? I need to get one of those. That's used for mobile suit development and the upgrade or purchase, of certain structures. So, for example, the ace pad utilizes gold to upgrade, and what that does essentially is expand its sphere and the number of aces that can be stowed within it. How did he clip through the wall? Well, okay. That's the first time I've actually seen this guy actually. It's was it Kira Yamato, I think is what it is. It's from Seed, which is a terrible series, by the way, but you know, I only say that at risk to my physical being, just because there are some really rabid Seed fans out there. But you can also purchase other structures. Now, most of these structures, when you start off, these were included, are actually going to be grayed out. They'll essentially look like these wrecked, rusted out hulks waiting to be restored. And as you level up and gain more money, you'll be able to unlock those structures and add them to your base. You also use the gold not just to purchase these structures and add them to your overall base, but also to assist in your mobile suit development, build better carriers, things of that nature. So before I get into armies and mobile suit development, we'll talk about essentially the rest of the interface as we look at it. So, looking on our left side here, we've got a series of buttons. The first one here is Evento, or events, the event log. Okay, click it, you see all the stuff that's happened over a period of time. Your wins, losses. You can select, for example, an individual battle by pushing this little button here. It'll load you into this area, telling you who attacked you. And you can do a replay of that, and essentially you see where it succeeded or failed. So, see, I took 60% damage, so my base held out for the most part, but it still probably lost the core, so that marked the end of it. You can also replay some of the attacks you've made or defenses that you've made. See where your strategy worked, where it didn't work, where your defenses worked, where they didn't work. Help you kind of refine your game as you go along. So that's what the event log's about. It'll also detail mobile suit developments. It'll also mention if one of your ace pilots aided another player, because when you're in the battle arena, and we'll talk about that just a little bit later, you can select other players' ace pilots to help you out for one-time use. Second here is the quest log. Now most of this is going to be in kanji and is probably going to go right over most people's heads, myself included. However, essentially as you accomplish goals, items are given to you as rewards. Certain like mecha charges or building charge or gold or other nice little bits and pieces of material that you can use to develop your base. So essentially just as you play the game naturally, you're going to unlock almost all of this on its own. You just play the game, this stuff will be unlocked. So you don't really need to dive through hoops to try to understand what each quest is for. You're going to be rewarded anyways. Once you've actually go back into this, once you have accomplished a goal, it'll highlight as complete. You would select this button down here. This will be highlighted. This will be active. You essentially are collecting the reward. You click that, and it will drop into the next menu. This is essentially your item inbox. Now, as items are either purchased or quests completed, rewards given, etc., they're going to show up in this inbox. In order to claim all the items in your inbox simultaneously, you just press this button here. I'm not going to do that because you'll notice my money is full and I don't need excess money, so I'm going to hold this cash in reserve. If you want to redeem an individual item, simply select it and then press this button here. Pretty easy. This here is essentially a sale code. So if you receive a special mail code or something like that, usually these get sold in convenience stores in Japan or as part of promotions like from 7-Eleven or something like that. You would actually type in here the code and you would redeem the gift through there. Final button here on the small menu is the options menu. Pretty simple. Simple graphics options. You can turn how detailed do you want the graphics to be. This is a very low intensive game, so everyone can probably run it at high, and then what resolution you want to run it at. And these are your volumes for both background music, sound effects, and voice. This is the default, so you just push this, everything resets the default mode. Build. Pretty straightforward, as it is. It's the build menu. You build plants. These are manufacturing plants, so these give you little toro, which are little essentially maintenance bots that'll upgrade your structures for you. You can have a maximum, this number increases with level, but these cost what's called BC. BC must be purchased with real world money. So if you want more of these structures, you do have to pay real world money for it, so beware. These, however, cost regular minerals. These are metal plants and gold plants. The number, just like with Clash of Clans or any other game, is limited based on the level of your core. So as you rank up and you upgrade your core, you can upgrade some of your structures along for the ride. This thing, I call it Garter, essentially are defense turrets. So walls, machine gun or autocannon turrets. Actually, I think this is, yeah, heavy gun turret is what this says. Heavy gun, or heavy gun. Heavy gun. Laser turrets, mortars, missile turrets. Missile turrets are used against air units, which are introduced later on in the game at higher levels. So if a flying unit attacks, this along with your laser turrets are your primary defense against that. And then I have actually no idea what this does. This is beam system. Okay, so I'm assuming it's some sort of really big laser beam thing. But I'm only guessing here. I can't read the kanji here. But haven't encountered this piece yet. Take a look at it. Yeah, it looks like it's a heavy beam defense turret, actually, now that I look at it. So, there's your turrets. So, pretty cool. And it was always, these things get unlocked more and more and more as you level your core up. On the far side here, we have a few other items. So, looking at the top, before we go on to the right side, of course, this is your character name, your rank, your metal, your gold, the max level for each. This is BC, so you press BC charge right here if you want to purchase BC for real world money, and you click this once you've completed your purchase and it'll refresh your amount. You'll notice that if you move your mouse to the top, this thing pops up because it's windowed. You can minimize it, close it. These are secret tickets, or like special tickets is what they call it. These are rare chips, excuse me, rare chip. These are used for late game mobile suit development, heavy Gundams, things of that nature, that require not only a gold amount but also a specific number of rare chips to develop. The B charger, or building charger, is used to reduce build times on buildings. Mecha charger is used to reduce development time on mobile suits. And A charger is the ace charger. Essentially, it reduces refresh times on your aces. Now, some of your aces will get knocked out in defending of the base, or they can end up being knocked out if they're destroyed in combat. Now, sometimes you'll come back from a mission and they'll be good, but other times, heck, even if they don't get destroyed, if they're used consistently, they essentially start. It's to represent wear and tear on the mobile suit. It's broken down. It's gotten old. It needs repair, and a certain amount of real-world time must pass before that mobile suit can be utilized again. This is only for aces, mind you, not the rest of your regular army. To reduce that timer, you can use an ace charger. Here's now just a basic operation guide. You know how to use your. You can actually use WSAD to control your camera. You can also click and hold the right mouse button and drag. Use your mouse wheel to zoom in, zoom out, and of course, well, we all know how to select items. Formation. This is your army composition. So here you decide on the carrier, right? So you click over here. This is your ship. You have different ships available to you as you develop as a player, and your core upgrades more and more. You can build more ships. And each ship has certain abilities and differences to it. So let's select white base, for example. Oh, no, one of those. If you take a look up here in the corner, you'll see the differences between the two ships. Here, this ship can only carry one ace. The Ptolemy can carry 2. This ship can carry 3 different types of mobile suits. This one can carry 4 different types of mobile suits. This has got a special long-range gun that does about 1,000 damage and an area effect. This has got a healing unit that you can drop to support your units as they're taking fire. The default unit everyone starts off with is the Medea Transport. The Medea, if I can get around it, the Medea holds 1 ace and 2 mobile suits and has no bonuses, but everyone gets it for free. Now, you'll note there's another piece that's different between both units here, and this is cost. Now, every time you attack a player, you must pay a certain amount of cost in gold before you're able to attack them. The smaller the unit, or the lower level the units, or the earlier game units, they're cheaper. More expensive units are those that are generally late game, those that are more powerful, have heavier armor, etc. So the Ptolemy costs 10,000 credits, essentially, or 10,000 gold to deploy, whereas the Medea only costs 100. So there is a distinct difference in cost. I right now use the Ptolemy because I like to be able to deploy the maximum size army right now. Next are your ace pilots. So, depending on what type of ship you select will depend on how many of these windows are actually available for interaction. You can select your ace pilot, which has been developed through your mobile suit base, and choose which guy you want to play. You know, who do you want to serve as your primary aces? Finally is your general mobile suit layout. And they are divided into several different types. I'll get into that a little bit more when we start talking about mobile suit development. But you want to have a good mix of them. And in this case, you'll note that there's the type of the unit listed in the corner card, what level that unit is, its name when you highlight it, in this case Dom, how many units are going to be are able to be deployed, and the cost of deploying this unit. So the total cost right here for deploying all of this army is 22,350 gold. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you know, when you have to make sure that you've got enough reserve gold, and usually you will, to be able to keep fighting. Now you can maintain different sets, different layouts, as you see fit. And actually it's good to have maybe some other reserve armies, because for example your ace pilots might be exhausted, so you want to swap over to a new setup just to change it out. And actually I need to change this guy out back for Amuro. Amuro! Ikimasu! Okay. I think they actually took all the original voice cast credits as well, which is kind of cool, from the original Japanese. And finally, there's the area battle. Now, I'll push that button just a little bit later, because before we go into that, I want to talk about mobile suit and ship development. Now, I know I've been mentioning a lot throughout this video, but now we're really going to get into it. You've got 3 different structures. 1, 2, and 3. And essentially they release what's called product lines. Now each of these is a different style of mobile suit development based on series. So when you select it, for example, if I go to information, these are the series that are supported within this product line. So this is mostly the Universal Century timeline. Pretty much all Universal Century timeline right here. For product 3, actually we'll jump to product 2. Product 2 includes a few Universal Century timelines, such as F91 and Victory Gundam, but also includes some of the other spin-off series like Gundam Wing, G-Fighter, and Gundam X, and Turna Gundam. And finally, product 3 includes the more recent series, particularly Seed and EmW. To develop a mobile suit, you will select the building and click this little button right here. This essentially is your development button. You'll click that and it'll drop you into a new interface. Now this is essentially the tech tree is developed for mobile suits. As you select different suits, they'll come up with a cost and how long it will take for them to be developed. As you level up the structure, newer tiers of mobile suits are also unlocked with it. So right here, if we take a look, we've got, say, Shiro Armada and the Gundam EZ-8. Bring it up. You can take a look at his stats when you press the little info button. This thing would cost 500,000 to develop, and if you look down the corner, this is 4 days development. So this will take 4 days to be finished. You can speed that up by using mecha chargers or M chargers, or by spending BC to also shorten that development. As you finish a mobile suit, it'll show up on essentially the launch pad. You just select the pad to collect it. Now the launch pad is this structure right here. It's right here. So when the mobile suit development is complete, you just click that, and the mobile suit will be added to your Army's list, an availability list. It'll also show up in the menu as rollout, meaning that it's been completed and collected. Open means that it's available, but you also have to take into account the cost. So you'll note this is all redded out. It's an orange color. If it were available, it would be white, so you can essentially easily tell which ones you can and cannot develop. Now as we go down the lane here, you'll note, particularly at level 3, a different type of resource requirement is added to the mobile suits. This is the rare chip that I was talking about earlier. That's this number right up here. Notice I only have 6, so none, with the exception of maybe, I think, the Barzam? What is this? Yeah. Those are the only ones you could develop that I could develop right now with the current cost. But as you complete challenges and you level up, more rare chips are added to your inventory so you can begin to develop these higher level mobile suits, such as the Zeta, the Double Zeta, the Riesel, Zaku 3, Unicorn Gundam, things of that nature. So we'll take a look. You've already seen the Universal Century product lineup. We'll take a look over here at the kind of spin-off timeline. So a lot of Gundam Wing mobile suits, some F91, G-Fighter, Gundam X. So quite a few different options. And then the final unit actually is Turna Gundam, which is kind of interesting. And then for Seed and EmW, suits like the M1 Astray, the AAU Hellions. So quite a pretty decent lineup. I'm focusing more on Universal Century because I like Universal Century, but the product 2 and 3 have some units available in certain unit types in greater quantity than is available in the Universal Century timeline. So let's talk about unit types. So we'll look here. The first of a unit that's actually going to be made available to you is the Akkai. No, not the bear guy. Unfortunately, there is no bear guy in the game. And it's the first unit that is available to every player. The Akkai is a warrior type, meaning he's a melee unit, and he essentially charges in and he beats units to death. So that's pretty much what their primary job is. They're good for assaulting walls, which you need to do to get at some of the structures within. They're great for taking out isolated buildings. You can deploy one next to it, and it'll go to town on it. Warriors also, I found, are pretty good for drawing fire from turrets, while more dedicated units are then sent in to take out the turret. So that's the warrior unit. The next is the shooter. Okay, the shooter is denoted just like the warrior with the W by a little S in the top corner. Shooters can fire over walls and are great for taking out enemy turret defenses. Since they have that longer range and don't need to knock down the wall, they're able to, of course, attack structures and buildings and everything else directly, which is a very useful trait to have. Personally, I run with 2 shooter units in my army. Okay, as we go down, we start to encounter other units, like boosters. Boosters help provide a bonus to units around them, so they're good team units. You want to deploy them with other warriors or with other shooters to essentially provide more serious backup. Interestingly enough, the Zaku 2 Kai, piloted by Bernard Wiseman, actually has more hit points and better stats overall than Koaraki and the Gundam GP01. I don't know how that ended up happening, but it just did. Now, they've all got different bonuses that they apply, and I cannot tell exactly what this extra bonus is, but it's a bonus. So I tend not to use boosters, not because I necessarily can't tell 100% what each one uses. It's generally because the other shooter or warrior ace units tend to have better stats overall, and people have figured out some very nasty defenses, and quite frankly, you just need a larger reservoir of hit points to be able to fight your way through it. Now, since the game is still kind of being worked on, the higher levels are still being fleshed out, this is just an initial rollout. We may see a better role for booster units being added as time progresses. And if anyone happens to know any better way to describe what the boosters do, please, don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, this is a Garter unit. It's got the G in it. Garters have very, very large reservoir of hit points, but you can only deploy about 4 or 5 of them at a time. They're great for your initial shock unit. And they tend to be the first unit I deploy on the field, generally because since they have such a huge reservoir of hit points, they'll draw turret fire. You can then, just like the warriors, send in other units to then take out the turrets, take out the walls, and do so without coming under fire, while the guard unit is the one that assumes the majority of the damage. The Crasher unit. Now, I have not actually used a Crasher unit, so I'm not fully clear on what you can do with this. I think you can actually drop these on top of bases, but I've never been actually on the receiving end of a Crasher unit, so I'll have to release a little bit of an update later on when I unlock this unit. And if anyone happens to know, please let me know in the comments below. And I don't see... here we go, we got one more. The last unit that's available is the Flyer unit. It is just as it sounds. It's a flying unit. It can go over walls. Machine gun turrets and mortars cannot attack it. The only defense systems that can hit them are laser turrets and missile turrets. So they are very useful if you end up attacking, say, a lower level core player who doesn't have as many air defense turrets. These units are pretty solid. So flying units, pretty cool. I have not used any flying units yet. I have not unlocked any. However, I have been on the receiving end of them, so they are pretty nasty. So that covers all the different types of mobile suit, essentially subtypes out there. And of course, you can build an army to suit yourself with your favorite characters or your favorite types of mobile suits, and be fairly effective. So now that we've got mobile suit development sorted out, we got one final piece of your home base you can take a look at, and it's more for decoration than nothing else. Depending on what ship you have selected, it'll show up in the main hangar over here. As you swap out ships, they'll actually be raised on this elevator and then drop down on the elevator. And then you have the rollout for each suit that makes up your army. In my case, the Dom, GM Custom, High GOG, and the standard GM. But as you swap out units, these will also change out. Final item is Area Battle. So let's click that. And it'll drop you down into this map here. Now, there are a couple items you'll note in the corner. These are ace pilots you can call in from friends. These are essentially automatically set up to you when you load a new map area. So you can select it and say, yes, I want this guy to help me. No, I don't want this guy to help me. You're also given a general bonus. In this case, this is a missile strike that I can select, and it'll actually hit the core target if I want. This bonus right here, as a matter of fact, this green bonus, will be random. So once you've utilized one bonus, there's then a countdown timer of about 8 hours, and then a new bonus. It could be reserve metal, it could be a missile strike, it can be added armor to your units. The bonuses are randomized and vary. Once you've selected which bonus you want to work with, and by all means, you don't have to select any bonus. You can reserve bonuses if you want. If you don't use any bonus, you'll essentially just hang on to it until the next round. None of these bonuses carry over, though, to the next area. To attack a base, you'll select it. Now, these are bases I've already won at, so I can't attack it again. But bases that are available to you, you press this. Now, you can also press this button. Here we go. And it'll bring up the map. And here you get a preview of the enemy base. You get an idea of what kind of defenses you're going to be up against. Okay, so taking a look at this base, we've got a pretty good layout in front of us. Let's attack. So, here we're looking at the enemy base. You get a good idea of what your strategy is going to be before you go in. You review your army setup. Now, you can change your army setup on the fly if you want. You can change over to a new army by using the presets, or you can click on the individual unit and swap it out on the fly as you see fit. So, pretty good there. This is the overall cost to deploy, right down here. And when you commit, you'll be pressing this big red button right over here, and it will warn you. You sure you want to do the cost? And you'll say yes. So now we'll load into the map, and we'll try to take down the core. I have not pre-selected any bonuses, because I think I can take this guy without any help. Okay, let's go! Okay. I think we're good to go. Now as a unit it reaches its G burst, you double click it, and now a special ability will be activated, like higher damage, higher speed, etc. And as you can see, the easy way to deploy a unit is you select its card, and then just click where you see a little blue arrow. Red arrow, you cannot deploy. There we go. 100% damage. Amuro sounds unhappy. But 100% total damage, the rewards you get out of it, so total battle report, there's a you get a bonus multiplier depending on the damage percentage, and then stack bonus. And then the last screen you'll see before you finish a battle is if any of your units leveled up. All your units will gain experience by participating in the battle. And of course, as units themselves level up, their HP increases, their damage potential increases, just typical stuff. Now, as you complete area missions, certain bonus objectives can be achieved, and then when you finalize a region, when you finally beat everything, or even if you've lost every one of them, you're given a rating. Let's now press this button, and we'll drop back into our base. I'll show you one final thing, just because we've got some rewards now. How do you level up a structure? Real simple. Select the structure you want to level up. Go down here, you'll see it says level up along with its cost. Click. It'll show you a preview of what it's going to look like, how much it'll cost, how long it'll take. Click yes. Done. So, that is Gundam Diorama Front in a nutshell. Hope you've enjoyed the guided tour. Hope to see more of you guys playing this. And hey, it's free to play. You know, if you've got a VPN, give it a shot. Give it a try. You might like it. You know, if you're a Gundam fan, hey, I like it. So, thank you for coming along for the tour. Hope you've enjoyed it. please leave your comments below. Any violent assertions or other suggestions you may have, please give them. If you like what you've seen, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and remember, I've been Commander McNeil. You have been watching East Meets West Gaming. Thanks for coming out.